I want to talk about Oklahoma City. Normally, I wait until we do the big over-under pod with House and Russillo to tip my hand on what I'm thinking about some of these teams. I am fascinated by Oklahoma City as a possible leap team. So we saw, Sacramento last year was a team that jumped up, and I think a lot of us liked them, but they ended up being even more successful than we thought. There's a case for OKC that I want to go through, but let's start with Chet, because you talked about that on the mismatch today. Chet went against Wemby on Monday night. Chet, I think, is the most kind of under the radar asset that anyone has added over this offseason, especially if you watched OKC last year. They went 40-42. Not only did they not have a good center, they didn't have a center. They just basically went small ball. And if you were just going to pick people out of a pile and say, what did this team need? That person would look like Chet Holmgren. So what did you see last night to make you think that not only will he have an impact on them, but that he might actually be like pretty special?
We saw everything that we were kind of hoping for in terms of how he could enhance that team. I had the Thunder 15th in my preseason power rankings that went up on the Ringer. And that's kind of high, right? But I think it was like kind of a bet on SGA getting even better, Jalen Williams taking a leap, Giddey getting better in year 2, and then Chet. Like Sam Presti said during his hour and 50-minute media day press conference, that with Chet, like, yes, it's his rookie year playing, but it's more like the Thunder's first year with Chet, because he has a whole year getting stronger, learning, how to be an NBA player, improving his body and all that. But like, I think with him, we saw him hit 2 threes. So adding floor spacing as a 7-footer. We saw him grab 9 rebounds, even though he's lean. Like, they were 28th in defensive rebounding percentage last season. They need size, as you said, Bill. And then the rim protection and the ability to, protect the rim, add defense, create more transition opportunities. He brought the ball up the floor himself sometimes, driving to the basket. He just adds a completely new wrinkle to the Thunder that they didn't have last year. And I feel like with him, he is somebody who can complement SGA and Jalen Williams in easy ways. He can also just enhance those guys and add a new dimension that they haven't had with his perimeter abilities on offense.
Is he a rookie of the year candidate to you, like in a real way? Because if you look at the odds on FanDuel, they're steering everything toward Wemby, but with Scoot as kind of the backup. Wemby's plus 130. Oh, Chet's now plus 270 after that last game. So he was 4-1 like 2 days ago. Scoot's 3-1, but I think Chet's the safest rookie of the year bet, because if he's going to play like 70 games, they need him. He's going to play real minutes for them, probably like 30 minutes. And I could see him being like a 14, 10, and 2.5 blocks kind of guy with some good shooting percentages. Plus, I think the team's going to be good. And I think that matters too. So is he in the real mix for you?
I think he belongs where he is right there as third. I'd still have him behind Scoot. Scoot Henderson's going to have the volume with the Blazers. Dame's been traded now. He's the guy on that team. And like they could even overperform. Portland could a little bit too with all the veterans that they have. And then with Wemby, though, I mean, like as amazing as Chet was his debut, I mean, Wemby 20 points on 8 of 13 in 19 minutes, hitting threes off of screens, off of handoffs. He had a 3 off of an inbound pass where he was kind of moving away from the rim, something you see like a 6'5" guy do, never mind a 7'3".
What about the steal?
Guy. Oh, the steal,
let's talk about the steal. Now we're having a Wemby conversation. He did this Spider-Man almost like when you're watching alien videos on some conspiracy board and it's like, come on, you guys created that. That's like a fake video. That didn't really happen. That alien didn't jump from a car. I don't know how, I've never seen anybody get a steal in that spot. It was the top of the key. Somebody was driving and he did this Spider-Man reach out and just flicked the ball away. Who was the player? It was somebody good. And the player, it was somebody on Jalen Williams.
No, it was Jalen Williams. Okay.
And Jalen Williams must have been like, what the hell just happened? You were 4 feet behind me. So anyway, he looked great.
Bill, his one of his feet was like barely inside the 3-point line, and the other one was at the free throw line. Just to put it in perspective for people who didn't see the play, and then the block on Jalen Williams too, where he got beat. It seemed like he got beat, and then out of nowhere, he stretches out his 8-foot wingspan and blocks a shot. That's going to happen a heck of a lot this season, I think, where guys feel like they have Wemby beat one-on-one, but then they don't.
I think he has a chance to be the best social media kind of short clip person we've had we've had 15 years now of social media, and probably maybe 10, 11 with the actual videos that can be turned around fast. He's going to be the best one for that, because there's going to be one play a game where you're like, wait, I've never seen that before. Anyway, back to OKC. All right, I'm glad you're sitting down. So I'm going to tip my hand for next week's pod on this one thing. I have them 4th in the West right now.
Wow. 4th.
Yes. And I won't say who I have in the top 3, but I have them 4th. So here's the case for the people who haven't done a lot of OKC research. Their over-unders 44.5 on FanDuel. They were 40 and 42 last year. Again, a year younger, no center. At the West is better, so I think that's skewed a lot of the over-unders and a lot of the playoff talk. 6-1 for their division. That's going to be tough. 42-1 for the conference. 34-1 for the 1 seed, and 85-1 to win the title. Probably staying away from those. But playoffs, they're like minus 140, minus 135, somewhere in there to make it. No playoffs is plus 106. I think if they don't make the playoffs, somebody got hurt. So last year, no Chet at all. SGA missed 14 games, and Jalen Williams, the wing Jalen Williams, came on second. J-Dub came on second half of the year, and once that started happening, he just immediately moved in with Giddey, with SGA, where you're like, oh, these pieces all make sense next to each other. Now add Chet. They have this team where SGA is 25, and he's one of the best 7 players in the league, one of the best 8 players in the league. Like, he's in the top 8, right?
Yeah,
top 8, 9, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
I mean, he was 5th in MVP voting, first team All NBA last year. I mean, like he's in that same general range. Josh
Giddey turned 21 this week. Dort is somehow 23, which I don't fully understand. I think he turns 24 this season. J-Dub is 22. Chet's 21. Wallace, who they just drafted, he's 19 or 20. And then the other Jalen Williams is 21, and Trey Mann's 22. So this is like a crazy young team, and that's why you would ding them. 2010 OKC. KD was 21. Russ was 21. Harden was 20. Ibaka was 20. And Green was 25. That team jumped from 23 wins at 2009 to 50 in 2010. And if you're making the case for OKC is going to be a lot better than people realize, I think it's really good to look at that OKC team, which went from 2009 to 2012. They went from 23 to 50 wins to 55. Then they went 47-19 in the lockout season. So each year they got better, and they were pretty much a semi-contender in year 2. Golden State, Curry era, 2012, 23 wins. 2013, 47. 2014, 51. 2015, 67. So this OKC team this year, they 40 last year, 24 the year before. And if you're applying that mindset of, all right, could those be the mirror teams? Could you go from 24 to 40? Could you get to like 50, 51 this year? And then a year from now, you're 55, 56. That's what I have in my head, KOC. And I don't think it's unrealistic.
I think you're betting on a lot for a young team, right? And I like that's clear, right? But if things click right around SGA, they have the piece, they have the one guy. It's not like they're a young team that needs somebody to develop into that guy. That's where that's
it's like having the quarterback in football, right? They know they have this guy who can go toe to toe with every other best player in the league, and they're going to win some of those.
Yes, exactly. They it's just about the other guys catching up with SGA, and that's why I had them 15th in my power rankings. I'm not quite as high as you are on them, but if Chet proves that he can stay healthy, continues to add rim protection and spacing and all the skill, if Jalen Williams continues ascending like he did at the end of the season, and lost in that, I felt like in that game last night between everybody's looking at Chet and Wemby, obviously, and like Jalen Williams is having his insane stretch at the end of the second quarter with like the transition dunk and then the block and then the putback dunk and the step back 3 on Wemby. But lost in all of that was Cason Wallace. Looking like Drew Holiday already. I mean, 3 steals in different ways. They added not just Chet this year, not just hoping for development from their existing guys, but Cason Wallace is the type of rookie who could come in right away. And next to Lou Dort, that could be one of the best defensive backcourts in the entire NBA. Add in SGA. you can have so much different versatility and ways that you can play. OKC is definitely an over for me. Like that over under is way too low.
I'm winning you over with this. Yeah, let's go through this. So let's say their finishing lineup: SGA, Giddey, J-Dub, Chet, and maybe it's Dort if you need defense. Maybe it's Trey Mann if you need shooting. Their bench. We didn't mention the other Williams, Kenrick. The how do you pronounce the new point guard? I've only seen Micic.
Micic, yes. Yep.
He's going to play, right? Isn't he going to play?
I would think he's going to play. They gave him good money, and he came over from a great career overseas after 10
like he seems
years.
like he's at least a 15 to 20 minute guy.
He'll play, and I think he'll be good right away too.
You know who else they have who I think's going to have minutes for them is Bertans. Because this team, their biggest flaw last year, and people are going to laugh, and the Washington and Dallas fans are going to be like, fuck you, Bertans. They needed shooting. They were a really bad 3-point shooting team last year for a team that had made the playing game and all that stuff. So they're going to need some shooting.
17th in 3-point percentage. So you add Bertans, you add Chet. Chet also helps you with the rim protection. Like the defensive rating could go into the top 10. 3-point shooting could go into the top half.
But
of the
league. Problem with them is SGA and Giddey aren't really 3-point shooters. And Giddey is another one where I love that guy. I don't feel like we're close to where we're going to end up with him. And if you look back at that 2010 OKC situation, the big question was like, well, can Westbrook take a leap? And I'm like, wow, Westbrook, he just he's in the 2008 draft. What, is he going to run the team? And then all of a sudden he could do it, right? And what I like about betting on this team is these are guys that are really, really, really talented. Like that Jalen Williams, the wing Jalen Williams. That guy, I thought he was the best rookie the last 2 months of the season. SGA, we already talked about. Giddey, though, his passing and his rebounding from the guard position, I mean, he might be the best under 25 rebounding guard we have. Then you add Chet. I just think all of these pieces make sense to. There's another piece to this too, but I like for a young team. This is, I don't know what else would you add? Like maybe make Trey Mann like an even better, like a lights out shooter. What else would you want on this team?
I mean, you need somebody bigger than Chet. Their heaviest guy on the roster is J. Will at 245 pounds. So, like, you need somebody who's 250, 260 plus, 7 plus feet. And, like, with Chet, yes, he provides rim protection. But, I mean, we see teams like Boston last year with Robert Williams and Al Horford, two bigs. We see Brook Lopez and Giannis, teams that have size and can put two bigs on the floor. Chet's unique in the sense that, like Brook Lopez, like Kristaps Porzingis, the Lakers hope with Anthony Davis this year shooting threes again. There's not a lot of guys who can protect the rim and space the floor. Yeah. Chet's one of those, but he's still not the type of guy that you're going to have defend Jokic or Embiid. So if you can add one more big, like that's what I would prioritize if I were Oklahoma City. Probably
the easiest thing to find in the league. I mean, Detroit's got 17 centers. Maybe ask for one of those. Maybe they could get in on the Kai Jones sweepstakes.
Glad we're doing an emergency Paul. Time to pivot to that, right? Best team for Kai Jones.
Russillo and I we were texting last night about if we did like a 75-minute Kai Jones emergency trade pod, but we did it completely serious and never kind of broke character and went through all the teams and treated this like it was a huge event. Like, would people get the joke or not? We decided Russillo was more into it than I was. I was like, there's no way we could keep it going for more than 10 minutes. He's like, I think he really was into the possibilities of it.